All right, a quorum of the commission is present. The January 22nd meeting of the Zionsville RDC will come to order at 6:33 p.m. Let's start with, why don't we go ahead and start with just some brief introductions of the commissioners. We have some new members who have joined us in the new year, and let's start down with Katie.
My name is Katie Ashelman. I am serving on the Redevelopment Commission as the Board of School Trustees appointee. During the day, I work at BMO Harris Bank as a commercial lender in our institutional market group.
My name is Kent Ezra, and my wife and I own Cobblestone in downtown Zionsville, and I have been on the RDC going on about 10 years now. So.
Good evening. My name is Justin Hage, and I work in government relations for a software company called Find Help, and I am new to the commission and excited about this opportunity. Thank you.
Hi, Darren Kittner. I'm a principal at Flaherty and Collins Properties. I also am new to the commission. I look forward to serving.
Good evening. I'm David Ober. This is my second year on the RDC. I am the Vice President of Taxation and Public Finance for the Indiana Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Denise Pierce. I am the founder and CEO of DK Pierce and Associates, which is located in Creekside Corporate Park. And I am new to the commission as well. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any in attendance who request to be noted at this time? Seeing none, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is oath of office. And Mayor John Stara is here with us this evening to administer the oath.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you stepping up to take this role with the RDC. I think it's very important for our town and very important as our town moves forward. So with that in mind, I'd ask you to all stand up. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, please. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Indiana, and the ordinances of the town of Zionsville, Indiana, and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties of the Office of Redevelopment Commissioner for the town of Zionsville, Indiana, according to law and to the best of my skill and ability. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next item on the agenda is going to be election of officers. We have 3 officers of the Redevelopment Commission: President, Vice President, and Secretary. One stipulation: there was a change of law in 2023 that requires that whoever is serving in the office of President, the Vice President must be an appointee of the opposite appointing authority. So, for example, if the office of President is held by a town council appointment, then the Vice President must be an appointee by the mayor. And Secretary, there are no restrictions on that. So at this point in time, I would open up nominations for the office of President.
So I'll put forward Dave Ober as president for the RDC for 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close nominations. All in favor of David Ober for president of the RDC for 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, colleagues. The next office will be for election of vice president of the commission. We'll open up nominations. I would like to nominate Justin Hage for vice president of the RDC for 2024.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations at this time? Seeing none, we'll close nominations. All in favor of Justin Hage for Vice President of the RDC signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Justin.
Thanks.
Lastly, for the office of Secretary, we'll open up the floor for nominations. I'll offer a nomination of Denise Pierce for Secretary.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close nominations. All in favor of appointing Denise Pierce, Secretary of the RDC for 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Denise. And that concludes election of officers. We'll next move to the director's report. Corey.
Welcome, everybody. My name's Corey Sharp. I serve as your Director of the Redevelopment Commission, and I'm very thankful to be in this position. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and you'll all learn that I grew up on the farm and perfectly capable of drinking out of a water hose. So you'll end up drinking out of the same water hose with me, despite COVID and all of those other formal regulations. But I'm only one part of our team, thankfully. A new addition to the Redevelopment Commission team formally is Zach Lutz and Owen Young. You have seen their faces before. They have been working on economic development work in the town and have been in the planning offices. But now they are a direct report to me, and I'm very thankful to have them on board. They're getting used to well water as well. So the other part of our team that's not here is Cindy Poor. She serves as our treasurer. She was not feeling well this evening, so was not able to come. Cindy is well, it used to be called CFO. I don't know what they're called now, what she's called now.
Director. Yeah.
Director of Finance. She manages the money. And because she holds that position with the town by state statute, she also serves as the Redevelopment Commission treasurer. And she and I have some great ideas on how we can just continue to push out more information. Last year, the town went through a shift in electronic systems on how they were managing the banking systems that also included the RDC. And it took us a long time to reconcile our books. We will be providing monthly reconciliation reports in addition to our other written report, the TIF report, each month. So you'll have a look at what claims looks like in relationship to our approved budget, which you also will have on the agenda here in a little bit. One of the mayor's priorities in the town is the development of South Village, and that encompasses the area of Zionsville Gateway, and it expands it to the north and to the south. The Zionsville Gateway area was studied and approved into law, into the comprehensive plan in 2022. Yeah. It is on a website called Zionsville Gateway Masterplan.com. So that will be a part of the South Village. And our team has been working with developers and landowners in and around the area to understand the priorities of how we can transform the South Village area. So as we work together over the next year, 4 years, 10 years, we'll see changes in the blighted areas that are south of the Brick Street Village Business District, you know, the old gas stations and vacant land. So we'll start to see some exciting deals unfold. We're not at the point now to have any news in concrete. I have no like year beginning unveiling, because we really are in conversations. We're in listening mode. We're listening to the developers and we're listening to the residents, and to the leadership of the community. So another priority of the mayor's is a town-wide comprehensive plan. And these types of plans are multidisciplined. So real estate development considerations will definitely need to have a seat at the table for this planning process. That project specifically is coming through the planning office, and Mike Dale is the director of planning. He will be issuing a request for qualifications this quarter, and the administration will be working on selecting a consultant to lead that effort. It will likely be 12 to 18 months. As an urban planner myself, I have done comprehensive plans, and I always argue that the Constitution of the United States was done in 4 months, so we should do a comprehensive plan in 4 months. But the Constitution was written in a small little building and sweaty men, and so it didn't include public input. And there's a lot of different contingencies in Zionsville that need to be heard and considered. So that will take 12 to 18 months as we move forward. But I just wanted you to be aware that that's something that specifically Zach and Owen are working on. They are have been assigned as this special project kind of lead team with Mike Dale. So we will have firsthand knowledge of what's going on with the comprehensive plan. I just have a couple project updates for you. One is Wild Air. Wild Air came to us in December and requested TIF. We approved that declaratory resolution for them to continue on the process. So right now, they are currently going before the Plan Commission, the Economic Development Commission, and then they will work their way towards Town Council. Once they are through those 3 agencies, they will come back to us, and we will have the opportunity to review what the other boards did and then consider a confirmatory resolution that would establish a TIF area for Wild Air. It would capture the property taxes of the multifamily development and the commercial development in that area. It does not capture the property taxes of the single family neighborhood, which is the predominant land use in that area. So if you're not familiar, Wild Air is a new development proposed on both sides of Marysville Road, north of Oak Street. As a part of that TIF request, they have negotiated with us to donate 10 acres of land at the northeast corner of Oak and Marysville Road for a civic use. That land donation will come to the RDC as a part of that public-private partnership agreement. So they have a development agreement in front of them, and they are well, that's a different project. Just kidding. That's lots 4 and 5, which I have an update for you on that too. When they presented, you all, the former commissioners, had a fantastic question and answer session with them. That was in December. I would encourage you to go back and listen to that conversation because it was very well done. It's also in your meeting notes for this evening. The developer had several questions posed to them by Commissioner Ashleman, by Commissioner Ezra. Oof, that was a mouthful. And many of you other, they are actively working on creating answers to those in a written format. I expect those this week. So we'll come back around to that. When their package comes back to us, we will have, in addition to the confirmatory resolution, we will have a development agreement alongside it to hold track of their commitments in a format that is not just a bond document. Brian, do you have anything to add to that one?
We're working on it. Working on project agreement.
So the other project that is pending is the sale of lots 4 and 5 in Creekside. We accepted a letter of intent from Podell Partners, and we are actively working with them to structure a purchase agreement between themselves and their tenant, which is an eye surgeon. I expect for that to also be resolved within the next 2 weeks and have that document and the petitioner and tenant in front of you at the next commission meeting. So that's forthcoming. One other forthcoming project that I want to introduce to you, because it's in front of the Plan Commission right now, is a project by Century. And this is a senior living development that has independent and assisted living, about 155 units north of Interactive Academy on the east side of Michigan Road. Throughout the last several months, they have been working on their PUD approval, which is planned unit development, that controls their land use. They are seeking an amendment to the Holiday Farms PUD to expand and include their property as well. They have the intention of seeking TIF, and as a part of our TIF request process, one of the things that Brian and I implemented at the end of last year is a reimbursement agreement. And this is an agreement between the private developer and the RDC to basically cover the RDC's project-specific costs. And so they have signed their side of the redevelopment agreement. And you know, if you would like for us to continue to run the due diligence, like TIF projections, which is the critical path, I would ask that you execute that and allow us to at least be able to answer the questions that are necessary to determine if TIF is a feasible and appropriate use for this project. One last bit of business is over the last year, we have been working on becoming a little bit more formal and moving on up into our educated level of how we operate as a commission. And one of the things that we would like you to consider is potentially creating some committees. And maybe there's a finance committee, a liaison collaboration committee that brings all of the town leaders together, and you know, you establish who on the board would be the representatives there. And then a governance committee. Brian has some great ideas around actually establishing bylaws and roles for the officers that you just elected. They are required by state statute, but we don't have any bylaws that tells you exactly what you're supposed to do. I mean, Commissioner Kittner could be the one that runs the meeting. You know, it just depends. So just creating a little bit more structure. So if you would consider that, that would be helpful. One tabled item of business is selecting a finance consultant for the RDC. And so maybe one of the actions that the finance committee could do right out of the gate is interview those 3 firms and then make a recommendation. As you're thinking about building and structuring committees, you'll need to decide on whether they are public or not public, in attendance, publicly noticed. Brian, could you work out what requirements we have to follow for that?
Well, if you have a majority, if you appoint a committee that has a majority of the RDC members, then those meetings would have to be public. And there are some other exceptions, particularly if these are advisory committees, and I think that's what what the discussion that I've heard is that all of the subcommittees would not have delegated powers to actually make decisions, but would rather be advising the larger group with respect to what they think after conducting, significant due diligence and talking to people and that sort of thing. So the RDC clearly had the power to enact these sort of governance structures. The state statute is really thin on it doesn't even really tell you what it means to be president, vice president, or secretary. It gives you, a blank slate with respect to make your own governance rules. So under home rule principles, you all can graft onto what others have done in other communities, or you can go in your own direction.
Brian, how many would constitute a majority? I mean, are we 5 or are we 6?
Five. And so we would take a conservative approach, and we would say that if you have three RDC members on the committee, that you're going to have to, either look for an exception or they have to be public. Which you could decide to do that too. It's really up to you, depending on the nature of what it is that you're dealing with.
That concludes my report. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yeah. Any questions for Corey? Why don't we take first things first? So you mentioned the reimbursement agreement with Century to continue to explore that opportunity. Is there any discussion amongst the commissioners about engaging in that next step?
I guess if we're going to move forward with that, in the sense that we're talking about Century, right? That we just get the projections done, right? Is kind of where we're at with that. So I'm for that.
So what I understand is that engaging on the reimbursement agreement from the RDC perspective would allow us to kind of isolate the costs on a project basis so that we can do that work. And there's an understanding of where the financial side of that is going to come from. Any further discussion? Is there a motion to
I'll move that we put forward a reimbursement agreement with Century for the TIF projections.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Ezra and seconded by Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Corey, do we want to do committees now or under old business?
Put under old business.
Okay. I mean, it'll be the next thing after. So next on the agenda is the TIF memorandum for new commissioners. This is not typically a document that we discuss unless there are questions. This is circulated to a number of the town leadership, and it's just a summary of activity within the different TIFs and economic development areas. Are there any questions? If not, we'll move on to the next item of business, which is our subcommittee for financial services. As Corey mentioned, we put out a request for an RFQ last year for financial advising services. We received 3 proposals. We tabled this item at the end of last year because we would have anticipated new membership on the commission. It's been proposed that we create a finance committee, and that the first charge of that committee would be to review these proposals, meet with the contractors, and make a recommendation to the commission. So I'll open up the floor for any discussion on the topic. Are there any interested parties to serve on a finance committee?
I'll serve on. I can serve on it.
Okay. Anyone else?
I know I'm not a voting member, but I do have a fair amount of experience in the field and would be happy to help if it's helpful for the commission.
Okay.
I think so.
Again, as has been noted, if we have an additional member, we would need to notice those meetings. So is there any additional interest in serving on the finance committee? So I guess we would need a motion to establish the finance committee and to appoint Commissioner Ezra and Commissioner Eilishman to, is it Eshelman?
Ashelman.
Ashelman, sorry.
That's okay.
Commissioner Ashelman to the finance committee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right.
Next item of business would be approval of the minutes for our last meeting, which was December 20th of 2023. This is part of the packet. Any questions, revisions, comments?
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the December 2023 meeting.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second that.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda are claims for approval. Those are in the back of your packet. Corey, would you characterize for new members what to expect when we see claims each month?
Yes. So, the claims each month, well, going forward, instead of this cover sheet that you see that's just an accounts payable registrar, you'll see the budget that you have approved and then where any deducts have come out of a month actual, a year to date kind of line item. But what you see here is the claims that have been submitted, and then a little description. This is the system that Cindy uses as a part of the entire town. And then the second page is your signature. Going forward, we are going to have the entire claim as a part of the package. So you'll have an entire package that will include my monthly invoice, Brian's monthly invoice, and then any other invoices that come in along that month. And then each item will have an assignment of what fund they are coming out of. Because at the end of the year, last year, we actually created a separation of our banking system from the town's banking system. So we're going to be giving Cindy direction as to which bank account and which fund is paying for something specific, because we have TIFs that aren't the whole, they aren't the whole jurisdiction. So they're very specific land use areas, and we need to ideally spend those funds in those areas.
Are there any questions about the claims as submitted? The only question I have, Corey, is the annual expense for Creekside with the Community Development Corporation. Just that's a infrequent. That's once at the beginning of the year. Can you share with the rest of us?
Yeah, actually, I'll let Zach fill you in on that.
So yeah, since we don't have Amanda anymore on the board, the CDC is acting as a HOA, for lack of a better term, for the Creekside development. They basically issue a budget that they have for annual expenses to basically maintain all of the common areas and keep up the landscaping and whatnot throughout that space. And so they basically came up with an agreement with the Parks Department, who is going to be helping us maintain it for this coming year. And that budget was approved by the existing members of existing property owners. As one of the property owners, the RDC does have to pay dues into this fund as well. And so that's what you're seeing before you. If you have more specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions?
So as more parcels get sold or transferred to private entities, that number will go down?
Yes.
Or our percentage will go down?
Yeah, you'd be paying significantly less as you sell more parcels.
I'll move that the claims be approved.
Thank you. There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the RDC has a number of appointments to the Community Development Corporation. Those appointments are not up for renewal. However, there are some circumstances that we would like to consider reappointing them. Corey, I'm going to have you explain a little further.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. When we put this on the agenda, our intent was for you to make your appointments. The board, as it was created, the Community Development Corporation, is an organization that is a 501c4 right now. And they are currently working their way towards a 501c3. They have done all of their filing, and they will, they expect to be have that approval this spring. So when we put this on the agenda, we were under the impression the board was the founding structure of 4 appointees from the mayor and 3 appointees from the RDC for a 7-member board. At the end of the year, last year, we have learned that they restructured their board to be a 15-member board, 17-member board.
17.
And the way that they restructured their board is that the appointees previous are the founding board members, and that we would have 3 new appointees and the mayor would have 4 new appointees. We have asked for legal counsel on their action and how we should move forward in doing that. I can assure you that I do not have a slate to present to you for 3 new individuals. I would ask that you table this for now as while we get legal counsel on this. Zach or Owen has served as the staff liaisons to the CDC. So if you have any specific questions, they might be able to answer those for you.
Thank you. Is it a correct assumption that once they receive their 501c3 status, that the board will become self-appointing and that these appointments from the RDC and the mayor's office will no longer happen?
That's not correct. They would continue to have that relationship. So basically how their document currently reads, they've only amended the 501c4 at this point. The 501c3 will be later because they don't have all the approvals completely done with the state and federal government, but they will continue to have that relationship with the 3 appointees and 4 appointees from those 2 different groups. But then the rest of the board would help appoint members as they see fit to fill in that gap to get up to that 17.
Okay, so the 7 members that are the founding board, we will have 3 and the mayor's office will have 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then the remaining 7 will appoint the vacancies
Yes.
to get up to 17.
Correct.
Okay, and we will continue to have 3 going forward.
Correct.
Okay, understood. Do we need to have, so I'll offer something up for discussion. In order for us to have some transparency into what all is happening, I think it might be wise for us to appoint a member of this commission to serve on the board until we get some more thought behind what's happening. And I mean, is everyone familiar with the members that held over are probably familiar with the CDC and their mission? And are there questions about should we go over what the CDC's mission is?
Yeah, they had a board retreat at the end of the year last year that helped them kind of formalize that. But I'll let Zach and Owen kind of run that discussion for you because they really have done a great job of keeping that board informed of following procedure.
Yeah, so they're still evolving, they're still trying to flush everything out. But their new mission statement that they drafted was the CDC identifies, invests in, and supports strategic projects that propel Zionsville's continued development as a thriving and welcoming community. They've more or less tried to narrow their focus to commercial development and trying to help those kinds of businesses elevate themselves. They have a very broad approach right now. Their previous activities have been focused on gap funding for commercial projects that have been throughout any TIF district as their funding is coming from the RDC. So that has been their main focus and will probably continue to be as they move forward. But as they get their own funding as a 501c3, they would obviously have the opportunity to expand to all of Zionsville and not have any restrictions on the TIF districts as they have more freedom based upon the funding that they receive.
All right. Is there any discussion on this thought of appointing somebody right away? And then what we did last year for the appointments, we had a call for interested parties and then they were interviewed and those individuals were put forward to the commission for their selections for the board. I suspect that that's a similar process that will follow for these other potentially 2 vacancies or 3 vacancies, but open for discussion. If we prefer to wait and do all 3 at once, or if we want to put someone on.
Well, we do have Zach and Owen that are there present at the meetings. They are not there during if they call an executive meeting, but they have been there in any publicly noticed meetings, just for your information. And then also for your information, when I say I've asked for legal counsel, really, I'm just riding the coattails of the mayor because the mayor has four appointees and he's the one that's asked for legal counsel. And, we're just riding that wave.
Okay. For the new commissioners, last year we had the board president for the CDC was a member of the commission. And so that connection was hugely helpful in understanding and knowing what was going on with the CDC. But since that doesn't exist any longer, it's a new world, new year.
I guess I would say, maybe we should just table it and have some discussion amongst us and let the new commissioners understand maybe what they don't know what to ask a question about,
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's add this to old business for our next meeting.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to let you lead this one off. The next item, Corey, is an amendment to our budget for this year.
I'm going to put the budget up on the screen.
I'm sorry.
Okay. This, I told the mayor earlier last week that I'm an Excel junkie, so I'm sorry if this appears to be confusing. Once I explain it, it will be super easy to read. What you see here, the left column is the fund and the expenses and revenue associated with that fund. We, by state statute, have to isolate our TIF districts and our spending and revenue of those TIF districts. So that's why you will see so many different funds. You will see all of these different EDAs that are TIF districts. You will also see a cash on hand because we have the capability to have cash. The second column is our 2023 budget, our year-end budget. The 2024 yellow column is the approved 2024 budget. That was approved in October by the commission. It was presented to the town council in November. And the last column is the proposed 24 amended budget for your consideration. Anything in yellow remains the same as the approved budget. Anything in green or gray, and that's green over there, is a change of what the approved budget was. So the first item of change is a reconciled carryover balance of 2.85 million compared to the budgeted 2.68 million. Another change is to not grant the CDC a blanket grant of $225,000. And then you'll see two expenses here, project management, legal and financial services, and then economic development, research and lead development. These are two new line items. The first line item is a move from the cash on hand to the Zionsville EDA because our time is being spent on the South Village, which is the Zionsville EDA. I serve as your project manager. Brian serves as our legal, and then the financial consultant that you will have that does not have project-specific items will fall into this line item. So that is your expenses for the South Village EDA professional services. I've added a line item for economic development, research, and lead development because of our addition of Zach and Owen. We are going to have a lot of development, and we now have two staff people that can be going to conferences, meeting new individuals, giving them the opportunity to build relationships, not only across the state, but here locally too with our local business owners. I just threw in $10,000. I don't know if that's the right number. It could be $1,000. It could be not $10, but I would like to give some funding specifically towards an active effort to bringing specific businesses to the South Village. And that's why you see it here in the proposed amendment. The next fund is another fund that we are responsible for, the Oak Street EDA. That had a balance carryover of $114,645.20. That's the only change there. Creekside did not have any balance carryover. Cindy paid the bond obligation as the former budget was approved in 2023. So going forward, she will pay it out of the Zionsville EDA, which you saw on in the previous section. We have an agreement with the school to pay 50% of the gross revenue. So that's straight up $91,700.50. We also have a current agreement with Group 1001 for a $75,000 economic incentive. This is the final year. That payment is due in March. And then we have HOA dues, which actually was not reconciled with what was in your docket today. The HOA dues is $39,669.81. You will see this has a negative balance for Creekside because of all of our obligations. I ask you to consider approving a negative line item here and allowing the mayor and I to solve this problem. And maybe one option is to understand if that economic incentive to Group 1001 needs to be paid in full to allow us to end the year in a positive note. But if you choose to take action on this evening, then it clearly shows a negative line item. And maybe you decide not to take action and you send this to the Finance Committee. The next section is cash on hand. And the previous budget assumed that we were going to sell Lot 9, and we didn't do that. And so the reconciliation here is just changing that budget to make the sale of lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. We do have interest on every single lot. So I do believe that we will be making strides here in Creekside this year. And you'll see here, I moved the professional services out of this line item. This first page of the budget are funds that we control, okay, and debt that we are responsible for. This second page is basically developer pass-through bonds. We act as the agency that receives the property taxes. The developer is the party that pays the debt with that money. So we receive it, we pass it along to the developer, they pay the debt with it. In some cases, we have agreements with the developer to split the proceeds. So for instance, this first one, the 334-700 EDA, there's a 90-10 split. So the developer gets to keep 90% of it and the RDC keeps 10% of it. The changes on this page are solely to reflect the balance carryover from last year. Our obligations don't change in any way. So balance carryover for the first one is 233,000 compared to 86,000. And just as by way of introduction of the circumstance for all of these, a lot of this just gets down to the minutia of when we received funding, our TIF funding, our property taxes in December, and then the bonds may not be paid until January or February. So our year end has a little bit of a carryover here. Metronet, same instance, Appaloosa Crossing, and then the last two do not have any changes to them. This is where we are. And if you see anything that shows revenue underneath there, and it is a TIF projection, that is information that we carried over from the Crow's 5-year TIF outlook that was completed in April of last year. Once we select a new financial consultant, we'll have them update that and just add another year on the back end of it. I'm happy to take any of your questions. Yeah.
I have one question, Corey.
Yeah.
Your assumption for under cash on hand, your assumption for revenue on sale of lots, are we assuming a percentage of the appraised value for those lots?
Yeah. What I did there was we have an agreement in place. We had an agreement in place for Lot 9. So I put that in there. We have a pending agreement for lots 4 and 5. I put that in there. And then the others represent the appraised value from 2020 that we had put together.
The full appraised value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions? Is there a motion to either accept the amended budget proposal or to assign this to the Finance Committee for further review and recommendation?
I guess I would ask a question of the new members. What do you guys feel like? This is really your first time to get this information.
you know,
Yeah.
it's a lot to take
It
in.
is. I would probably move to have it go to the financial committee to review and perhaps give some points back to the executive.
Any other thoughts, new members?
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need a motion to do that, or can we just assign this to the finance committee for review?
So
I probably, I
Move.
motion to,
Okay.
I move it.
All right, we have a motion
Yeah.
on the table to refer this to the finance committee. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
I
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I don't have any other items listed on other business. Corey, do we want to?
Yes,
Oh, yes, there's a second page.
there's a second page.
Sorry about
And
that.
actually, I've added things to the second page,
Okay.
even as we're.
Oh,
The next item under other business is the Boone County EDC.
Yeah,
Just have an introduction.
yep. You know, you've heard me say economic development a couple different times, and I'm really excited that we are going to be working pretty closely with the Boone County EDC. And so Molly is online with us to just give a little lowdown of the new agreement and how we can work together with them.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? Perfect. Well, for those of you who have not had the opportunity to meet previously, I'm Molly Whitehead, Executive Director of the Boone County Economic Development Corporation. After a little bit of a hiatus, the Boone EDC, as of today, we have an executed contract with the town of Zionsville to provide economic development services. So, you know, what that looks like is, you know, occasionally you will see me. Sometimes I'll just be interacting directly with the mayor. Sometimes it will be the mayor and the RDC, depending on the type of project. First and foremost will be used for lead generation. As an example, the Boone EDC last year, we received 191 leads. A bulk of those do come in from the state, but the difference with the Boone EDC in comparison to other economic development corporations, we receive about 30 to 35% of our overall leads are coming in direct to us. So we'll be working hand in hand with you, with Corey, with the mayor and his administration to identify the correct type of users that you all would like to see in Zionsville, and then utilize our team, our expertise to make that happen. Again, you'll see me or one of our team members, Claire Jelinas, maybe the other one from time to time, and she'll be primarily working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. We'll continue to offer our microloan program, a long-standing program that the Boone EDC has had in partnership with the town. So that will continue to be a resource that will be available. And then, you know, like I said, anytime that we have projects that overlap any of the TIF districts, we will likely be involved in that. See us as a resource anytime we can be of assistance. More than happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have. And I'll open it up for any questions tonight as well.
Great. Thank you, Molly. Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
All right, Corey, we'll move on to the next item, which is future meeting dates of the commission.
Yes, so we wanted to give you the opportunity to establish your standing meeting dates. Previously, the standing meeting dates have been the fourth Monday evening of every month. We have taken a straw poll of you all to determine if that's the best time. And the short list for your availability is a Monday from 8 to 10, a Tuesday from 8 to 10 a.m. a.m. And Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. It is, we serve at your pleasure. So we will be there with bells on. You just need to tell us when you want to meet, and we will publicly notice them accordingly.
We decide that now, or
Well, our next meeting is currently scheduled the fourth Monday of February. So if we don't decide it now, we'll either have the standing meeting or you know, edit and discuss offline.
I guess let's ask, are there any conflicts for the next meeting, which is the 26th at 6:30? And an executive session prior to?
Yep.
So I guess I would say to the new members, if we're gonna change it, we're gonna move on, let's move on. I'm assuming you guys got to vote on those dates, I mean, those times?
Yeah, I think we filled out the survey
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
times that work, times that did.
What do you guys want to do?
I would say the Monday or Tuesday, we're going to discuss it now. I
Yeah.
would say the Monday or Tuesday options probably come to the forefront for me, just from a knowing that I'll typically be more likely to be available those times.
I would have to agree with probably Tuesday morning being preferential on my part, but either.
Eighth,
I can make any of those times work.
I can make those work.
Tuesday. I move that we make our regular RDC meetings Tuesday from 8 to 10.
I think what we'll do is start at 8 with an executive session and then probably 9 o'clock for a
Regular
public session
Okay.
Again, that's an executive session if necessary.
as necessary. Thank you, Counselor.
Zach and Owen, I'm assuming that this room is available at those times?
So is that gonna continue to be would that be the fourth Tuesday of every month?
Well, we can decide that. Why don't you let us decide which week it is based on room availability?
Okay.
But we will select that and we will notice it and update the website accordingly so that the public also knows. Unless you guys are searching, I see them searching right now, so Mr. President, could we let them work? Because I have one other item that I would like to add to your other business. And it's in regards to Lot 9 and the Kendall Property Group. We had made it pretty far down the line with the Kendall Property Group, and we were working towards closing. And as a process, we have we've received their escrow amounts, and now the developer has requested that escrow. Is it available for return? And I'll let Brian speak to the legalities of where we are on that legally, and then you all can discuss and decide what you want to do with that escrow money.
Yeah, so as a part of the project agreement for Lot 9, there was an earnest money component that was put up in the event that the developer decided or for whatever reason didn't close after the diligence period expired. The diligence period did expire. We were very close to closing. In fact, we were all dressed up and ready to go. And we heard the unfortunate news that the Kendall Group want to go in a different direction. So I would characterize it as a voluntary request.
And the RDC did incur costs related to preparation of development agreement and our own.
Yes. It's roughly equal to the earnest money.
I was gonna ask you,
We did a pretty good job of estimating the earnest money. Well, you're prior. There's two of you out here, there's three of you that did it really good.
Any discussion?
Do we need to make any kind of motion to?
I'm gonna lean on our counselor to decide that, but from my standpoint, I would like you to direct me on how to inform the developer But people are asking for questions, so
Yeah.
answers.
I think you should make a decision on the record, even though by doing nothing, you should get the way the contract would work is the earnest money should be released, but under the circumstances, the question has been asked a couple different times, and it certainly puts the director in a difficult position because it's not her decision to make.
I'll move that the earnest money for lot 9 from the Kendall Group be put forward for our legal expense, all the expenses put forward for that.
So essentially, it would be
Retaining it.
Yeah,
Retaining.
the earnest money. That's the-
Yes, retain the earnest money.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I do have a question before we vote. So on our amended budget, this would be $30,000 contributing to the carryover balance on Creekside.
Yeah, well, it would be it would be cash,
Okay,
cash on hand revenue for 2024 because we're receiving it in 2024. Okay.
okay, so it would augment that revenue number. So it'd be 1,485,000.
No.
No.
Yes, yep, we are adding that to that 1,425,000
So it would be
$8.
$1,455,000.
Yes.
$8.30. Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I don't
Thank
have
you.
any other items on the agenda except for meeting times. Do we have an answer on room availability?
Just based on some of the other obligations, it looks like doing the 4th Tuesday of every month at that designated time would be best.
Okay. So we had a motion. Is there a second to the motion to move our standing meeting?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I like doing it during the daytime.
Any other items? There are no other items on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Still moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned at 7:35 PM.